Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. It's like the pitcher's mound. I go back there and go, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Oh, Christ. This is the truth. Your truth, too, for a change. The lies I tell myself are the best, I think. Airtight. I'm not going to bust myself. What the fuck? They cut me like a custom razor. No pain, no blood, plenty of damage done. Invisible wounds up and down my arms. Lies are like that. They fill up an empty room at night. Your room, my room. And that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but a liar's truth. Your room, my room, tonight. Because, you're always lying to yourself when you're home alone. Or, even when you're talking to someone. Because it's not a lie when you lie to yourself because you know you're lying. So, but the lies you tell yourself kind of, keep you afloat sometimes, like, I'm not a bastard. And I was thinking, you're never wrong inside your room alone. You're never wrong when you're alone. You're never a liar when you're alone, even when you're telling bald-faced lies to the walls, man. And I was thinking, just all the times I spent alone, just like, you sit alone, you swear, you've been in your room all night, sitting, and you think you've been in there like 8 years, man, and like, you don't think the sun is gonna come up, and you're never gonna talk to anybody again, and like somehow you make it through the night, you're up to like 4, just depressed about nothing. You can't figure out what is just killing you. And that's the thing that really kills you. You can't get a hold of it. It's like this beast running around your room, biting at you, and you can't grab it because you can't see it. And you go, God, man, Henry, what are you doing to yourself? I don't know. And you know what I'm talking about. It's really frustrating. And the next day, you kind of, after you get some sleep, you kind of emerge from your room, and you feel like you just swam out of the Titanic or something. You feel like some kind of casualty. So many times I feel like that. I go to sleep and like I'd sit in my room and just like tear myself to bits, I don't know. Have you ever, a lot of times I wake up in the morning, have you ever like, the first thought that comes in your head when you wake up in the morning is that you want to die? You wake up in the morning and go, God, I don't think I can do it today. I really don't think I can go out and exist out there today. And staying in my room is not going to help. I just want to die. And that's what I always think of, when I'm alone sometimes. And the one thing that always hits me, sometimes when I wake up in the morning, the first thought, I'm like half awake, is that I'm going to die someday. I'll go, God, man, I'm going to not be here. And it really trips me out. I can say it now, it doesn't really bother me. We all know we're going to die. But God, when you're alone, and that's the first thought that comes into your head, it really just trips me out. And it happens to me all the time. And it's like I never thought about it before. I've been thinking about it for years, and then I wake up one morning and go, God, I'm going to fucking die, man. And I just, all of a sudden, becomes this big, yeah. And it's just, fuck. Ugh. Here's one I wrote about living in Venice. Sitting in my chair, no one here but me, head tilted down, memorizing the pattern of the carpet, spinning downwards like a silent, slow-motion plane crash. I like it here better than out there. At the market, they were talking about me in the soup section tonight. I heard the 2 white trash boys talk some retarded shit. I lugged my 2.5-gallon water thing in silence, thinking of what I would say if I got to be on the Letterman show. I'd ask him how much he rents that apartment in between his teeth for, and then I would knock him down his throat. They were talking about my lack of hair in the express line tonight. I heard him say to her, I had hair like that when I was in the service, but not now. And I turn and look at the dude right in the face and wait for him to talk. And he finally says, in the service? And I say, yeah, the self-service. The guy in front of me got it. I like it here better, in my chair, spinning downwards. Here's something more positive. I want to help people. All people. Especially people in need. Like if a junkie needs help tying off, I want to be there for him. Like if a guy wants to shoot his wife and he's short on bullets, he can turn to me. If a kid needs some helpful pro tips on how to kill his dad, I'll be there. Everybody's got it rough. Everybody needs a helping hand here and there. Hey man, I want to be there. If you ever need your wrists slashed, reach out. I'm there. That'd be, really great, helpful hints from Hank, I don't know whether to blow my fucking husband's head off with a 44 or 357, and I'd write back, hey, Madge, what the fuck, Don't do that 44 thing, because you're going to be mopping up his brains. But it's okay, I have Congolian. Well, then go for it, What about a lady who gets pregnant and she waits 8.5 months and then she writes a letter to her husband and puts it in the mail, and then she sits down in the kitchen on the Sears Congolian in Cleveland, Ohio, and takes a shotgun and blows her kid right out of her guts. And she dies, and the husband comes home, and there's Madge and the fetus all over the kitchen, and 3 days later, he gets a letter in the mail from Madge, and it says, I waited 8.5 months to do this to you. I hope it hurts you as much as you have hurt me. Love, Madge. Whew. Don't even think about it. That's mean. I'm looking for my one thing about going to work and coming home. God damn. It really looks bad, me scampering around here trying to find my thing, This is one trip I want to get into now that we're not laughing so much anymore. God damn, Henry. Come on, man. You fucking cheesy, pathetic fag. Fuck it. I'm just gonna wing it. There's not a single white person in the room who hasn't said nigger and thought he was right. There's not a single person in here who hasn't, in their mind, killed their mother, killed their father, killed their boyfriend, killed their girlfriend, killed a cop, killed themselves in here. And you can say to yourself, well, it's different if you just think about it or if you just do it. It's kind of different as in, your homeboy boyfriend's not on the ground dead. But if you thought about it and carried it out in your head, that's saying something. There's something happening there. And so many times, you have thought about killing yourself. How many times have you ever thought that maybe you were a mistake of your parents? How many of you ever had your parents tell you that you were a mistake? My parents told me I was a mistake. I felt very unwanted. I bet there's a few of you who have been told that. Maybe there's a few of you who think that. Maybe a good majority of you sometimes have felt that way. And so you felt like you didn't even want to exist, and you felt that it would be more painless not to exist, so you're not in the way of these people who are telling you that they love you so much. All the time, I think about offing myself. I have a shelf of books, of pictures of people who have killed themselves. People with their brains blown out from guns. People with gouges in their wrists that would make you suck in air. People who had damn near hacked half their fucking heads off with everything from can openers, scissors, hatchets, axes, knives. I got pictures of janitors in garages hanging themselves with apologies that they were alive. This guy apologized that he was alive to God. He apologized to God, and he left this note, and he hanged himself with an extension cord doubled in the basement of the place that he cleaned for 20 years. Okay? I have felt like offing myself all the time, and so have you. And in that way, we all have thought about that one thing, a very private thing, but we've all thought about it. We've all felt it very intensely because it's just part of life is death, fake death. fake suicide man. I came home, I sit down on my bed, the walls start to shake, the bed starts to shake, the floor starts to shake, and I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't even want to know my fucking name. I was a fake suicide man. I wanted to die all the way, but not really. I go into the bathroom, I take out a blade, I start cutting into my arm, start cutting into my chest, start cutting into my leg, and I'm cutting in, and the blood is going down onto the floor, onto the sink, onto the mirror, and I'm feeling all right, and I'm a fake suicide man. I know I'm not going to do it. I know I'm not going to do it, but it feels good when I'm cutting in, and I got the motherfucking scars to prove it, but I know I'm not going to do it, and I'm telling myself that I'm going to do it, but I know I'm not going to do it because I'm a fucking fake suicide man, a slow motion, frozen motion man, a bent over, ass-reamed working man, a bent over man, a fake suicide man, and I'm cutting in, and I feel all right, and I can smell the blood, and I can smell the sweat, and the blood is going into the waistband of my underwear, and I'm looking at the floor, and the blood is dripping onto my feet, dripping onto the tile on the floor, dripping into the sink, dripping into the mirror, and I'm cutting into myself, and I'm feeling about 10 feet tall, and I'm feeling wind go by myself, even though I'm not even moving, and I feel good, and I walk in, and I track blood all the way into the living room of my one-bedroom apartment, which smells like insecticide and dirty socks, and I feel all right, and I'm a fake suicide man. I never felt so good and so bad at the same time in all my life, because I knew I was fake, but I was hurting, and at least I felt alive. So the next day, I go to work, my boss sees the scars all over me, slams my ass up against the wall, and says, "What the fuck is your problem? You some kind of freak cutting yourself up?" And he's calling me a freak, and he's looking at these scars, and he's pushing them, and he's spitting on me, and there's spit all over my face, and spit all over his glasses, and he goes, "What the fuck is your problem? You some kind of freak?" And I'm going, "Oh my God, I'm going to lose my job." And this guy slammed me up against the lockers in the dressing room, called me a freak, and he needed me more than I needed him, so he didn't fire me. And a little way later on down the line, I'm going, "Yeah, man, maybe I am a freak, but at least I'm not a 30-year-old, twice divorced alcoholic." Sometimes you really wonder how you made it all the way here. You know what I mean? God, man, one time I pulled a knife on my mom because I thought she was trying to kill me. I pulled a knife on my mom, and I pushed her down a flight of stairs because she would like, grab shit and hit me with it, She would hit me with all kinds of shit because I used to like get in the way of her boyfriends, She'd be fucking some guy, and I'd open the door and go, "Hey, Mom, is it time for dinner?" And that guy would get all, "Who the fuck is that?" "No, it's my fucking pain in the ass kid. It's my cancerous fucking lump kid." I'm like, there I'm going, "God, what are they doing?" But I used to get wailed on. One time I freaked out so bad, man, I pulled a knife on my mom. I said, "Go ahead, try it." And, it was crazy. But I often wonder, man, like I was thinking about that kid on the train from last night, man. God damn, man. What hatred, I wonder how, like I said before, I wonder how that kid is going to make it. I wonder. And if he does make it halfway normal, it's going to be a miracle, and he'll be much more of a human being than I ever will be. I had an idea. Okay. Thinking about babies. Think about babies in baby carriages. Think about you having to rely on a stranger to push you around. Think about that. Think about a baby carriage being not a whole lot more different than a wheelchair, is it? You always wonder, how the fuck did you survive that? Some person you don't know pushing you around. What a hopeless feeling. And you come to depend on other people like that. You'd have to depend on your mom, and it carries over into later life. You think someone might be there to wipe your ass for you, so you trust airplane pilots, bus drivers, bosses, girlfriends. You trust all these people who say they're looking out for you, but maybe they're looking out for themselves a little bit more, but you've been programmed not to think like that because mommy did push you around in a baby carriage. I got a few baby carriage stories because the kids are victims, and they just take it so well, man. They're such balls-out little people, Here's this one time I was in Venice, walking to the post office, and there's this Mexican lady up ahead of me pushing a baby carriage with her elbows. And I'm going, what is she doing? Because she's trying to light a cigarette, pushing the baby carriage. This pain in the ass kid, walking around, trying to get the cigarette happening. And there's a driveway coming, okay? So the sidewalk goes away, the driveway cuts in, and if the lady doesn't watch it, the baby carriage is going to dump, the kid's going to go fly out into the street. So she's going up to it, and she's not even looking at this ground. She's just pushing the fucking baby carriage along. Baby carriage goes into the driveway, tilts over to the left, kid catapults into the street, lands, starts crying, and this is the best part. The woman lit the cigarette, put the match out, dropped it, put it in her mouth, and then picked up the kid. God, man. What if you were your age right now and someone did that to you? You would probably kick the shit out of them, but you couldn't when you're this high because you're some little fat piece of shit in a towel and you can't do anything. Northern California, I'm waiting to go play. You never want to go to Northern California. Don't ever do it. If you don't have to go, just don't. Go to Northern California. No, I'm sorry. Henry warned me about Bakersfield, Fresno, Frisco. They're retarded up there. They're like really severely damaged human beings. I think it's like maybe a triple helix DNA. I don't know what their trip is. They are so severely warped up there. Maybe it's the quality of the pot. I don't know. So I'm up there in Fresno waiting to play to a bunch of fucking suicidal tendencies, you know. And this big black lady comes walking by with a baby carriage with a little kid in it, little white kid, and she's eating a big bag of potato chips. She's like kind of pushing this thing along and eating the potato chips, pushing it and walking behind it and eating the potato chips. And the little kid, they come to a stop, and the little kid reaches up because he wants some. Hand looks like E.T. You know. And the woman, this is great, the woman looks down and just goes, "Hey, fuck off," and just kept eating the chips. And then she looked at me, and I went, and she just kept on going. Here's the other baby carriage story. I'm down in Georgetown eating at this pizza place, and there's like this real wasted rock and roll looking lady, kind of like over the hill, looked kind of like Barbara Streisand. You know, she's wearing all these rock and roll clothes, and she's got 3 Michelobs empty on the table. She's drinking the remainder of the last one out of a wax cup. She's smoking a cigarette. She's sitting there, and she's pushing the stroller with her foot, like, you know, it's like bored out of her fucking mind. Here's a kid, and I guess she thinks, she doesn't even care, that she thinks the kid likes it. Here's the kid, like, you know, the fucking drool coming out of the kid's mouth. The woman's just like, you know, I'm looking at the kid, man. The kid's just going, Jesus Christ, I better get a good recording contract out of this fucking deal, you know. And so finally she finishes the beer, butts out the cigarette, and gets ready to leave. She stands up and she pushes the baby carriage towards the door. The left front wheel locks into one of the table legs. Boom! You know, kid goes like that. Now, what would any of you do if you did that? You'd back up, turn a little bit to the right, and proceed. Not our babe. Bam! Doesn't work. Bam! Bam, bam, bam! This kid's like this, man. Finally, one of the guys behind the counter comes around and gets down and takes the wheel and goes like that for the lady. And the lady kind of goes, "Oh, thanks," and kind of staggers out with this kid, man. And then here's the last baby carriage story. I'm in a department store in Washington, D.C. with my stepfather, going to get a vase for his wife or something, my mom, right? So we get the vase, and we go to the gift wrapping room, and the gift wrapping room has the 2 women in it. They're replicants. They have them in every Woolworths or Woody's across America. White, with that chicken fat stuff underneath their arms. Like their elbows are gone. They're like just dense in their skin, and all that kind of bulgy fat underneath, kind of like, and you want to go up and go, "Can I touch that?" Ew, God! Don't you ever want to get that like cut off or something? So they're the 2 women. They're jiggling. They got the goiter, that little more of that kind of chicken fat stuff. It's like that chicken broth but refrigerated. It's kind of like that gelatin shit, you know. So they're jiggling and they're wrapping the presents. And up ahead of us, this is Christmas time. Up ahead of us, there is this little woman in a wheelchair. She looks really mean. She hates everyone. She's like this. And she's got this cane with a gooseneck on it. She's like, you know. And the woman behind, who's pushing the wheelchair, is getting all these presents wrapped. So we're waiting on the 2 chicken fat ladies to wrap the presents, you know. So finally, the woman finished wrapping about, 13 presents, looks over the counter, down at the woman in the wheelchair, and goes, "Oh, you have a wheelchair." To the lady standing up, like, "Oh, you have a new Toyota. Oh, you have a pain in your side. Oh, you have a hole in your shoe." I mean, there's no human reference. "Oh, you have a wheelchair." "Oh, there's nobody in it." You know, Christ, man, I'm going, God, what a mean thing to say. And then the woman in the wheelchair kind of goes, and so the woman, the chicken fat lady, comes around the counter, takes the presents, and starts stacking them on the wheelchair woman's lap. She starts putting the presents across the woman's leg, starts stacking the presents up, and the woman in the wheelchair is like, the presents keep going up until finally they are over her head. So the woman, she goes, well, there you go, have a nice day. And the woman goes, oh, thanks, you know, and takes the woman's wheelchair with one handle, puts her hand on top of the presents, and walked the whole thing out the door. And I was going, God, why did she even take the old babe out shopping anyway? Probably because her wheelchair made a good way to get the presents to the garage. You know, you could wheel them out. But here's this woman, she can't even see her way because the presents are in her way. How would you like to feel like that? That could happen to you tomorrow. That could happen to you tomorrow. You could lose your leg tomorrow. You could be in a wheelchair tomorrow, man. You could be in a situation where you have to depend on someone else to wipe your ass, feed you, and push you back when you were 9 months old again. God, man. I was thinking about her, I go, God damn, man, I am really lucky that I can fucking stand up. Okay. Jesus Christ, we're going very late here. I'm kind of trying to think, how can I... This is a big log of shit I'm doing here. I'm trying to find the right moment to pinch it off, you know. At this point, you're probably getting really tired of the guy. Jesus Christ, he won't shut up. Yeah. I paid my money. I came to this fucking poetry reading. It's just so I can say I did it, you know. I sat through it. I lasted through it. I took every bit of wisdom my father gave me. I'm almost 26 now. I'll be 26 in about 2 weeks. Last time I saw my father was on my birthday, February 13th, when I was 18 years old. And legally, the day I'm 18, I don't have to see him anymore. And he's a real bastard, child beater. I'm the only child. Racist, sexist, just real stupid, twisted, dumb, hateful guy. He's like Archie Bunker, but he looks like Colonel Klink. He's mean. He's like 6'2", totally streamlined, bald as an eagle, and he runs marathons. He is really tough, man. And like that's how I got the way. We're a lot alike, man. Me and him are a lot alike. In some ways, we're both mean old bastards. I'm an old man. I'm 26 years old. I'm a 58-year-old man. The way I walk around, old man Rollins. Goddamn you kids, I tell you, get my age, the hinges do not work like they used to. There's only two things that work like they used to. Up and down, okay. So I took every bit of wisdom my dad gave me, and it takes up right here, these lines. You ever seen that really dumb Wheaties commercial? You know, he knows he's a man, you know you're a man, you're ready for Wheaties, you know. You can go to a store and buy a box of cereal and you're a man. There's some kind of rite of passage right there on the shelf. That is the dumbest way to market a fucking breakfast cereal. They have these two guys, a guy and his dad, out in the Saco River in Maine, you know, on the rapids. You take her through, son. You know, he's like steering through. And then they get out of the water and they're in the middle of these rocks, you know, and they got a campfire going and they're eating Wheaties out of tin bowls, you know, and they're looking at each other like, you know, oh, right on, we're ready for Wheaties. And you go, God, man, what a depressing, weird rite of passage that is. But like every guy has probably gone through some kind of thing where their dad like hips them to the ways of the world or gives them some kind of like ride on, like, you know, man to man, like, yeah. Okay, my dad did all that shit when I was like 6. He told me the same stuff. It was like the same tape over and over again. When I was 6 and then I was 18, it's the same raps. But he gave them to me when I was like 6 and 4. Say these raps. I didn't even know what the fuck he was talking about, but he was so goddamn mean that I believed him. He made me memorize all this stuff. Okay, here's all the wisdom. Hit him first. Kick him in the balls, hit him in the eye. Make him hurt, make him cry. Keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut. Watch out for Marvin Food Stamp. That's any black guy. Be careful of sleazy broads. You don't want to get rotten pecker. I'm this high. Be careful of sleazy broads, kid. You don't want to get rotten pecker. Okay, Dad. Will do. Your mother's a nigger lover, but she's okay. Fuck. The cops are always right. If you have a problem with them, then you're wrong. Always keep your hair short. You don't want anyone to think you're a girl. Always give a firm handshake, and when Daddy says it, Daddy means it. So this is all the shit my dad taught me. Now you see where it got me. But anyway, he taught me how to fight by beating me up. I'd go over there for the regular weekend visit, and he'd take me in the backyard and go, "Okay, kid, put your guard up." I'm like, and then he'd go, "Okay, is your guard up?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." Bam! I'm like, ah! I guess it wasn't up good enough, And so he'd fight, and then he taught me how to fight dirty. I had my guard up like he taught me. And then he would just go like, boom, and hit me in the nuts. I'm like, fuck. He goes, "You got to watch your nuts, kid. They'll get you every time." So after he cuffed me around for a few months, and I'm getting pretty wary, he'd come up, "Hi, kid." I'm like, "Yeah," He goes, "Good, you're getting good," And he bought me a punching bag and all this dumb shit, When you're at 4, you don't want a punching bag. You want to have friends to go play with. You want to see girls' pee-pees and stuff, I didn't have any of that. I had my fucking dad and going to see Civil War sites, Walking over a field that looks like a bad golf course. This is Manassas. You spend 2 days at Manassas walking for miles. That's where a battle was. It made this country, son. Thanks, Dad. And even when you're 4 years old, you're going, "Jesus Christ, get me out of here. I wish my mom could airlift me out of here. Mommy wouldn't make me do this shit, But, "Okay, Dad, what's the matter? Don't stop dragging your ass." "Okay, Dad, I'm having a great time, So anyway, after I got good at fighting on account of my dad would beat me up a lot. So after he figured that I'd gotten street ready, he walked me up the street, about 4 doors up, to a kid who's playing in his front yard. He's about my age. And I only came to the neighborhood on the weekends, so I didn't know any of the local kids. I wasn't allowed to know them. All I could do was go sing the national anthem with my dad all day long. So anyway, he made me stand next to the TV set with football games and sing the national anthem with my hand on my heart next to the TV speaker. And I got this quavering voice, "Oh, say, can you see?" And I'd be all embarrassed. He goes, "Sing, goddammit!" I'm like, "Why the dawn's early like..." I was terrified of him, But anyway, we walk up the street. There's this kid like playing with Lincoln Logs or something in the front yard. And he goes, "You see that kid over there?" I go, "Yeah." "Go beat him up." I'm like, "What?" "Go beat him up." And I realized if I didn't go beat him up, then my dad beat me up. So I said, okay. I went in there like a good 4-year-old, like, My dad goes, "Let's get out of here." We like run. We're like, running out of there. And so my dad started taking me to his the Foster Associates picnics. Foster Associates, the firm my dad works for. The company picnic, the secretaries, the bosses, the gophers, everyone gets to go hang out at the boss's mansion out in the country, drink beers, get bitten by every imaginable insect, and have a miserable time. So, and all the 8-year-old kids, 4-year-old kids, we're all just like getting stung, getting bit, getting carried off into the woods by bears, hating each other's guts, just like, the lumps, the hives, just misery, And my dad goes, "There's Robertson's kid," He hated all the guys he worked with because he was trying to climb over him to the top. And then he'd get back at him by having me go beat up their kids. "Hey, there's Robinson kid." "Okay, kid, you see that little asshole over there?" "Yes, Dad." "Go give him zap." That means, kill. So I go over to the kid like, Kid runs into the woods. This kid climbed a pine tree. I went up after him and dragged him down. Kid left most of his flesh on the tree. Pull the kid down. I'm throwing dirt on him, dumping shit. I dumped a Coke on him, And my dad's like, "Yeah, you got him, kid." And then the next year, same picnic, same kids were all about this much taller. The kid took a lead pipe he found in an old fireplace on the property, and he knocked my 2 front teeth out with him. Like, remember me from last year? Tong! And I come up to my dad, like my teeth, I'm all bleeding, and he just kind of goes, "That's too bad, kid." And a week later, my teeth turned black and fell out. Fucking dick, man. Why couldn't have I had it like normal kids? I didn't get laid till I was like 25? No, I'm not that old now. But 25, yeah. Okay, well, it's time for my commercial. I got a very small box of some of my books with me. I sell them for American money. You guys should take them. You should buy 5 each. I'm rich now. I want to be filthy rich, okay? That's my game. I'm totally rich now. I want mountains of cocaine! I want big drugs, big women, big cars, big. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to do. Then I'll sell some books and I'll limp on home to wherever I'm sleeping tonight. True story, happened a few weeks ago. in New York. I'm out here. Last time I was out here, I guess a few months ago now. God, time flies when you're getting old. But anyway, I was eating breakfast with a friend of mine, and so we finished eating breakfast. She takes off in a cab, and I'm looking for a cab to try and get back to the place where I was in the morning. And I cannot hail cabs here because I'm not crass like you New Yorkers. I hail cabs like, you know, you have to go out there and like stand in their way, you know. I'm like, please, please, I really need it. Fuck you. And then there's like these pushy women like busting past me. I'm like, please. And they're like, yow! And they're like, bird! And they're getting in. They're like, ah! And they're going away. And so I'm standing there doing my butterfly leaps, you know. And from down the, you know, looking like a total jerk, you know. So from down the street, I see a man coming up the street on straight arm crutches. And his legs don't work, man. They're like made out of lead, man. He's just going, you know. And it takes him like 7 minutes to get one block. And we could all walk that in like 2 minutes, man. We could just like walk down the street. This guy, every step is this thing, man. He's just doing it. I'm going, God, what a drag. And he comes all the way up to the restaurant, and he walks by me, and he pivots left, and he's going in, and he gets the door open, and typical New York, guy cuts right in front of him, doesn't even look at the guy in the crutches, opens the door and walks in. The door is now fully inside, comes back, hits the crippled dude right in the head, like, schlong, and the guy's like, whoa, you know, and he just kind of, and I looked at his face, his glasses went askew, and he just kind of, you know, got his glasses back together and just kind of steadied himself and just, you know, went in. And I looked at his face, and it didn't even faze him. It's like he was so used to that kind of shit happening. He's like a 50-year-old man. And imagine, like, oh, goddamn, man, that guy couldn't take a millisecond out of his day to open the door for a crippled guy. And I was thinking, what kind of person shuts the door on some crippled old fuck's head? The kind of person who wants to get in a fist fight because the Volkswagen Rabbit took the parking place he was going to get. The kind of person who has a nervous fucking breakdown because the microwave broke. The kind of person who stamps his little feet up and down when he calls his girlfriend and the line is busy. The kind of person who gets mad when the elevator that's going to whisk him 26 flights up a building is 8 seconds late. You know, tiny little petty things that get so mad. What I'm saying is it's people like you and me. So next time you see someone, you got to remember what old man Rollins said. Tomorrow it could be you on the crutches getting your head slammed in by someone just like you. So next time you see the crippled old fuck walking down the street, be twice as big as you think you are and help him out. Good night. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'd like to thank Henry Rollins for coming up here and being on our program, Composed on the Tongue. We enjoyed having him very much. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in. This is G.A. Donovan for WKCR-FM New York. And you've been listening to Henry Rollins live from the East Wing of Ferris Booth Hall on the campus of Columbia University. And now, I guess we're going to cut to a short track before we go into American Musical Theater. And this is, if I can get this to turn on here, this is Henry Rollins singing with the members of the Minutemen and Black Flag. It's called Fetch the Water. And once again, we hope those of our more sensitive listeners were not offended by anything that went on tonight. That WKCR, we'd like to remind you, is not responsible for the content of the program. Okay. Thank you very much for listening.
And good evening. You're tuned to WKCR-FM New York 89.9 on your FM dial. It's now 10:45. Tonight, American Musical Theater is starting at 10:45 due to the preemption of the earlier show, Composed on the Tongue. We're sorry if you did not know about this. Tonight's guest in the studio is Michael Rupert. He's currently starring in Sweet Charity, which is playing on Broadway. We'll be talking to him in a few minutes.